Most women spend years trying to be more attractive to men. What they do not realize is that the very effort itself is often what undermines the attraction. There is a version of love advice that has been passed down for generations, and it goes something like this. Be agreeable, be beautiful, be available, and he will stay. And so many women have followed that advice, faithfully, exhaustingly, and found themselves more alone at the end of it than when they began. Today, we are going to talk about why. Because the psychology of what genuinely attracts men is both simpler and far more counterintuitive than most of us were ever taught. Welcome. I am WisdomAuntie, and this channel exists for one reason: to give women honest, grounded insight about love that actually holds up in real life. Not in theory, not in the movies, but in the complicated, meaningful reality of genuine human connection. Today, we are going to talk about the psychology of male attraction. Not the surface version that focuses on appearance and tactics, but the deeper psychological reality of what causes a man to invest emotionally, consistently, and genuinely in a woman. What creates not just initial interest, but the kind of sustained care and devotion that makes a relationship worth having. This is a conversation I believe every woman deserves to hear, because when you understand what actually drives male attraction, you stop spending energy on things that will never work, and you start showing up in ways that are both more natural and far more powerful. Let me introduce you to two women, not real people, but composites of patterns I see repeated again and again in how relationships unfold. The first woman, let us call her Nadia, is exceptional by any external measure. She is warm, she is beautiful, she pays attention to how she presents herself. When she meets a man she is interested in, she makes herself available. She is responsive, encouraging, easy to be with. She does not push back on much because she does not want to create friction. She gives a great deal from very early on. The second woman, let us call her Sade, is also warm and beautiful, but there is something different about how she moves through her life. She has opinions she holds without apology. She has standards she communicates clearly and early, not as tests but as genuine expressions of who she is. She is not hard to be around, she is deeply enjoyable, but she is also genuinely herself at every moment. She does not shrink herself for comfort, and she does not expand her availability to fill whatever space a man creates. Both women meet the same man. Within 3 months, he is deeply invested in Sade and has quietly faded from Nadia's life. And Nadia, who gave more, is left wondering what she did wrong. She did not do anything wrong. She simply did not yet understand what she was working with. Here's what the psychology of male attraction actually reveals and why it runs counter to so much of the advice women receive. Male attraction, in its deepest form, is not primarily a response to how much a woman gives. It's a response to how she carries herself. Specifically, it's a response to encountering a woman who is genuinely self-possessed. A woman who has a clear sense of her own worth that does not depend on his response to her. When a man encounters a woman like this, something important happens psychologically. He experiences her as a genuine subject, a full person with her own inner world, rather than simply as a partner who is available to him. And that experience of genuine otherness is what creates real, sustained fascination. You cannot be fascinated by a mirror. You can only be fascinated by something that has its own depth. You may have noticed this in your own life. The times you were least focused on whether someone liked you were often the times you were most attractive. Not because playing it cool is a strategy, but because when your energy is genuinely invested in your own life, it shows. It creates a quality of presence that is magnetic in a way that effortful performance never can be. There is also something important to understand about how standards function in male attraction. When a woman has genuine standards, things she expects from how she is treated, ways she will and will not allow herself to be spoken to, she signals something critical. She values herself. And a man's attraction tends to mirror the value a woman places on herself. When she treats her own presence as freely available regardless of how she is treated, that availability often shapes how he perceives her worth. This is not manipulation. It's simply the honest psychology of how human beings assign value, and recognizing it allows a woman to make choices rooted in genuine self-respect rather than strategic calculation. Something else worth understanding: men are often most emotionally invested when they feel they have genuinely chosen someone rather than simply accepted what was offered. A relationship that develops through genuine mutual discovery, where both people reveal themselves gradually and honestly, tends to produce far deeper investment than one where connection was established entirely through one person's availability and effort. So how does this translate into how you actually show up in your relationships and in dating? I want to offer you 4 genuine principles, not techniques, but orientations that reflect this deeper understanding. The first, invest in your own life as if it is the most important relationship you have, because it is. A woman who has a rich inner life, meaningful friendships, things she is genuinely passionate about and actively pursuing, does not need to perform interestingness. She simply is interesting. And that genuine fullness is one of the most powerful things a woman can bring into a relationship. The second, allow your standards to be visible early, not as tests or games, but as honest expressions of who you are and what you genuinely expect from how you are treated. A woman who communicates her standards naturally and without apology is not difficult, she is clear. And clarity, far from pushing the right person away, tends to bring him into sharper focus on whether this is someone he wants to genuinely rise to meet. The third, resist the urge to over-invest before a relationship has genuinely been established. Allow investment to be earned through demonstrated consistency rather than gifted in hopes of inspiring it. The fourth, notice whether you are more yourself or less yourself as a relationship develops. A healthy attraction should make you feel more alive, more confident, more grounded in who you are, not less. If you find yourself becoming smaller, more careful, more edited as time passes, that's important information about the nature of the dynamic you are in. The psychology of male attraction is not a code to be cracked. It is not a set of moves to be learned. At its heart, it is simply a reflection of something we all respond to in another person, the experience of someone who is genuinely, fully, unapologetically themselves. The most attractive version of you is not a performance. It is not a strategy. It is the version you exist when you are no longer trying to be attractive, when you are simply living your life with intention, holding your standards with clarity, and allowing love to find you in your full, unedited presence. A man who is genuinely right for you will not need you to be less to feel comfortable. He will be drawn in by the fullness of who you are, and that is the only kind of attraction worth building a life on. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one.